What is ultimately going to determine whether or not an individual transformation of an enterprise, of a business unit, of a function is successful is who's leading it.
Most leaders do want to be perceived as effective leaders of transformation. They do want to get on board.
Transformation is not for the faint of heart. It's a tough journey. The first order of business is what's the portfolio of abilities you bring to the table as a leader, and how does that or does that not fit the demands of the transformation in front of you?
I think a lot of organizations try to string together a number of discrete projects. Well, if we just start all of these separate projects, it will add up to the big change that we really want for our company.
One of the challenges that many organizations face is that they change the organizational structure, or maybe even change the way that decisions are made. But down at the individual level, at the level at which a CEO acts, how he or she spends his time, how they manage their team, how the team interacts, those things are left the way that they always were.
Enterprise-wide change is always preceded by organization unsettling events that really turn it on its head.
CEOs call Navalent in the pursuit of transformation often with a mandate. A board has appointed them, a board has promoted them, and they arrive on the throne with the need to transform. Whether it's moving from defense out of a bad economy into offense to now try and grow globally, with the need to bulk up the portfolio with some mergers and acquisitions. But it is a mandate, and it's to change something, and often that change requires far more radical, transformative work than the CEO ever estimates.
So if I look at Navalent clients that we've been involved with in enterprise change, they've got new owners. They've had a marketplace that's completely changed now, and new sets of customers, new ways they're going to have to do business if they're going to be competitive. So it puts into question every assumption that leaders have about, how do I do this work?
I think too often we go into organizations where the executive team in particular does not share the vision of what the CEO is trying to do, or the divisional president, whoever it is that's leading the transformation. And it becomes problematic because what you get is a lot of effort that leads virtually nowhere.
The first thing that's critical to do in trying to create alignment for transformation is making sure that you gather all of the input and the perspectives that people have.
You find teams of leaders that in the room with the CEO look quite committed, but outside the room look quite different.
When a team that you're leading has these old patterns and routines that are familiar, that they feel comfortable with, everything new is threatening, and so they work against it. And sometimes it requires that the leader have some courage to remove some of these leaders.
Typically you see this very dangerous assumption of, well, the devil I know is better than the devil I don't know. To which we often respond, the devil you know is still the devil.
You get pockets of resistance throughout the organization, and the credibility of the overall transformation effort that's underway is threatened. Those are tough calls that CEOs or presidents or senior executives have to make.
The real challenge here is to be able to distinguish between those who are going to be chronic resistors and they're never going to get on board, between those who really do want to get on board and they just need support.
And when CEOs step up to the hard calls they have to make, that's when you see change really begin to happen, because that's when the organization begins to believe they mean it.
Part of what we do that helps to bring about major organizational transformations is understanding, soliciting information and ideas at all three levels, at the organization, at the team level, and then at the individual level, to understand how those three things work together to create either effectiveness today or ineffectiveness today.
We refer to that as transformation within, which is the transformation intrapersonally. Myself as a leader, that transformation has to happen first, because transformed people transform organizations, but then there's also transformation between, which is the transformation of relationships, conflict management, team building, growing cross-functionally, kind of stitching the seams of an organization. There must be transformation there. And then we also believe there's transformation among, which is the strategy and the governance component.
Well, I think why it's worth the journey, our clients would talk about it in a couple ways. The obvious answer for them, and what they probably typically only go in looking for, is results from a performance expectation. But what they finally get out of the work is so much more. So I think ultimately we measure success by the fact that we have leaders who've grown through the process. They're different people when they come out the end of a transformation, not because the business results have changed, that's happened too, but they themselves have learned. They've learned how to lead others, how to enlist support, how to gain commitment, how to drive through some really tough changes.
We've walked the journey of transformation with CEOs and business unit presidents and global functional leaders before. We know the landmines they're going to walk into. We know the typical patterns that are going to try and suffocate out their noble attempts to change. And we can provide case evidence that says this can be done. It won't be done easily, and it won't be done without your sacrifice and having to personally change, but it can be done. And those leaders that find the courage, find the fortitude, and find the means to step into that and lean in hard to what's required do well.